flows on in endless song among earth's lamentations. I hear the real eternal hymn that hails all new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? Though the tempest round me roars, I hear the tune it liveth. And though the darkness round me close, songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to this rock I'm clinging, since love is Lord of heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing? Life flows on in endless song among my lamentations. Hear the real eternal hymn. It hails all new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing, since love is Lord of heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing? Since love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? Thanks.
Please join me in prayer. There is only one life. That life is God. That life belongs to each and every soul who hears this message. That life belongs to me. We know that the Spirit of God within is the source and supply of all good. The Spirit God within each and every person this message touches knows only lavish abundance. I give thanks this day for all the people who make this service possible. I give thanks for all the volunteers, the practitioners, for Reverend Jan, through whom Spirit will deliver the message that every person listening to needs to hear. We are opulent, lavish abundance in individualized form. I'll give thanks for Lindsay, who's here to lend her beautiful voice to our celebration of all that God is. And I give thanks for every recognition, every expression of the divine that comes forth in each and every person. I release these words in the divine law, knowing it is made manifest. Right here, right now, it is already done in the divine mind. And together we seal this by saying, and so it is. The lavish abundance of God is swimming in the infinite ocean. Here are our words of inspiration for today. From Eric Butterworth. Within each of us is an inner image of love and life to its fullest, and to share that fullness with others as well. It's not the accumulation of things, but the will to serve and to share the abundant life which is available if we're willing to listen to our inner source and translate our inner voice into vision and action. From David Spangler, manifesting is more complex than appearance. We need to feel a sense, insight, and intuition on how that complexity enters and integrates into life. What does the object of my manifestation look like? Who do I become if the manifestation succeeds? What do I look like? Do I want the changes that the manifestation will bring? Am I ready to become a different person? From our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, the atmosphere is attending the good. It is constantly on the alert to see and know the good and to bring it into my experience. There is that within us that calls forth abundance and happiness from life. I am surrounded with an atmosphere of peace, poise, and power.
It is October. We are starting a new theme. And I'm so excited because we're going to talk about money all month long. And we're not going to talk about money the way you hear about talking about money a lot of times when you go into a spiritual center or to a church. We're going to talk about finances. We're going to talk about what money means to each and every one of us. And one of the reasons why I think this topic is so great, first of all, it's coming right before the holiday season. So those of you who haven't already shopped for Christmas, it's a good target time. But also, the whole idea of money touches every single one of us. We have been touched by it somewhere in our lives, whether it's been on a positive scale or a negative scale, it has happened to us. And so I want you to just think for a moment. Think for a moment about all of those things that you've been taught to believe as you were growing up, and about this amazing being that we call God, we call Spirit, we call universal wisdom, and how it came forth to create. It was here, but it chose to create. And when it began the creation process, we have knowledge and information about what was created, how it was created, and all of these things that were put into play. Does it make sense to you that this incredible being that loves each one of us so much, that wants us to be filled with joy and happiness and grace and gratitude, would have created something and said, yeah, but not that? Not for you. Nope, nope, nope. Not so much. A little bit more over here maybe, but not so much. No, absolutely not. And so what we want to look at as we go through this process this month is, what is the thing about money? What is the trigger? Because it's a huge trigger for a lot of us because we've been taught so many insane things about it. What is it for us? And then how is it showing up for you? What do your finances look like? And we're not going to have a test, and there's no questionnaire to fill out, so don't worry about that. But what is going on in your world that makes you think about, boy, if I had a little bit more, or if I could just do this, or if I could just do that, what's that about? And that's the piece we want to look at, is where does money fit into the heart-centered space of how we show up in spirit? Where does it fit? How does it fit? How does it serve us? We can look at our finances and we can feel immense joy, and we can also feel huge, depressing struggle. And a lot of it, again, depends on your belief. I took a class years ago that had nothing to do with this philosophy, and one of my instructors said, there is more than enough money on planet Earth. More than enough. Now, at the time, we were talking about the Denver Mint, and I don't even know if we still have the Denver Mint, so I don't want to sound archaic, but whatever. And the conversation was about how much money is minted on an annual basis, and how many people could it serve, and what could it do for each and every one of us. And then he said to us in the room, he said, the only thing that is keeping all that money from crossing your hands is what's going on right here. We are the limiting or limitless factor in our own lives. And so we want to take accountability for that. We want to look at that. We want to say, okay, well, I want to do that different. And that's why Holmes teaches us so much about change your thinking. It starts right here. This is where we get to shift. This is where we get to adjust. So we're going to talk about this throughout this month, and where does that come from? So in your moments of contemplation, where you just kind of sit and go, so what's going on with my world? How do I feel about life? What's happening? What do I want to do? What do I want to change? What do I want to stop doing? I want you to consider bringing that whole idea of money into that level of contemplation this week, and how we can tap into that beautiful, amazing, infinite source. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, tells us this. We are surrounded by an infinite possibility. It is goodness, life, law, and reason, and it wishes to express through us. It is goodness, life, law, and reason. That is the infinite. That is the possibility that we each came into this expression and received the birthright for this. So let's look at that, and let's look at what that means, and how can we shift or change any areas if we need to. You know, if your world's perfect, then I'm not talking to you. I have perfect moments, but I don't believe my world is completely perfect. So one of the things we want to look at is we want to avoid thoughts that there isn't enough. That's the first place to start. We want to come out of that lack consciousness that there isn't enough. We want to stop looking at the fact that, oh my gosh, there's not enough money, there's not enough money, there's not enough money. And now I had something happen with my car, and now something's happened with this, and oh, the AC went out, or the furnace needs to be redone or rebuilt or whatever, the hot water heater. And we look at that and we think, oh my gosh, there's not enough. And we have got to shift from that thinking, because it's not the truth. It is not the truth. You might need a little bit more money in the bank account today for something, but it doesn't mean that there isn't enough abundance for you. And so we want to be really specific at how we look at this and how we focus on this. We've been taught so many stories that, in my opinion, are just kind of jacked up about money. And I don't know about you, but as kids, we weren't supposed to ask for money. We weren't supposed to ask for money. We weren't supposed to ask for anybody to buy anything for us. That was just a bad thing to do. That was inappropriate. It was wrong. Now, I didn't know at the time that we didn't have a lot of money. My dad was a young guy in the military, and now all these years later, I've seen, what their income looked like, what their finances looked like. But I didn't know that then as a little kid. So what were you taught? What are some of the beliefs that maybe you have adopted that just aren't really your beliefs anymore? There are stories in the Bible about money. I heard someone say something the other day, well, money's the root of all evil. Well, if you thought you were quoting a Bible scripture, I'm here to tell you weren't, because that's not the scripture. In 2 Timothy, it is spoken, love of money is the root of all evil. And if we go through some of the passages in the Bible and some of the other teachings that we have at our fingertips, we can find out that love, obsession, focus solely on that one thing or that one entity or whatever is the root of all evil in all situations, not just in this one. We also heard stories about a rich man and he had all this wealth and all of these things. That story wasn't about the rich man and all his wealth. That story was about a man who did not have the love and compassion for those who didn't have as much as he did and wasn't willing to share. That's what the stories are about. So we want to get these things aligned, and we want to get them into that real focus of what we're looking at and what we're believing and what we're thinking to see what it really means to us and what we can do with this. As we do this, I want us to think about detaching all of those tendrils, whatever you want to call them, that have been pulling on us about the money stuff. And you can change it so easily. And one thing that came to mind for me this morning was consider someone who is homeless. Consider someone who is out on the corner or in the median in the street, which scares me to death, and they've got a little sign and they'd like some help. If you decide to give to that person, as soon as whatever you're giving them leaves your hand, you have let it go. Now, some of us have to make a decision beforehand because there are so many wonderful people on this planet who seem to think we have to decide what this dude is going to do with the money we give him. And that's not your responsibility. Unless you gave birth to the guy and he's under the age of 10, it's not your business. It is not your business. And so when I choose to give, I give. Go do whatever you want with the money. I've chosen to give it to you. It's no longer mine. I don't have to think about it. I'm stepping away. I'm letting it go. I'm releasing it. And that's the place where we really can shift some of that thinking, and we can move away from some of those things that are tugging on us that say it has to be a certain way and it has to be within this limited construct. Gabriel Bernstein said, true abundance isn't based on our net worth, it's based on our self-worth. So a second application to this, first of all these things we were taught in these belief systems, we were taught about money being bad, evil, ugly, dirty. We were told money was dirty. And yeah, it is dirty. Don't put it in your mouth, but that's not what this is about. That was a whole different lesson that my mother was giving me the day I swallowed the dime, but whatever. So let's move on from that and look at this. It's not about your net worth, it's about your self-worth. Do you believe that you are worthy? Because when we don't believe we're worthy, we create scarcity. We create scarcity in loving relationships. We create scarcity in job opportunities. We create scarcity in the amount of money flowing in and out of our lives and in and out of our bank account. We create it in so many ways because we don't think we're good enough. So how about we stop that one right now? How about right now we just take that idea and go, that's a lie, and I am worth it. Because the same God that created the people that I think are worthy created me. The same being, the same spirit, that same essence, that same energy that populated this planet and created the process by which we continue to populate and repopulate the planet, did it all with the same intention. What a nightmare would that have been for God and all the angels to keep track of all of the ones that kind of had a different kind of a check mark on them. It was like, no, that one's not going to be part of the... No, that's not what happened. We were all brought into this with the same worthiness, with the same loving concept. Spirit wants us to enjoy life. And I've been there. I'm sure you've been there. Times when you felt like you were less than. And I attribute a lot of that to that very idea called comparison. Every time I compare myself to somebody else, I don't measure up. And we were not taught to compare. We were taught to be accepting and embracing. So I'll tell you a little story, just so you can see how far I've come. Years ago, I believed that there wasn't enough money. I believed I was never going to have enough money. In fact, I was leaving jobs, and this is crazy, and I didn't realize it right away, but as soon as I got to a certain annual income in a position, I either blew up the world or I walked out the door and didn't come back. There was part of me that didn't believe I was worth that much money. So much so that I walked away from the jobs. Now, I'll tell you a little story. So I had this big, huge old chest of drawers in one of the bedrooms, and it was that, I don't know, and it was ancient. It had been my parents'. And in the top drawer is where I put all the mail that looked like bills. Because I never had enough money to pay the bills. But I had to bring the mail in, so I brought the mail in and I put it all in this top drawer. And from time to time, I would shuffle through the drawer and find something that, looked like it was probably really important. And if I had the money, then I'd pay it. So I had this bill collector call me one day, and he was giving me a real rash. I mean, he was being kind of rude. And I finally said, "Excuse me, here's what you need to understand. I have a dresser drawer full of bills. And when I have money, I shuffle through those bills and I decide who gets to get paid. And you're about to be taken out of the drawer and not get paid." And he goes, "What?" And I said, "I'm telling you, you're talking to me in a manner like I'm some degenerate and I'm just struggling right now. And as soon as I have the money, I'll dig out your bill and I'll send you a check." Now, I thought it was a very logical, practical process for me to be in. So that'll tell some of you where I came from on the financial wherewithal scale. But I don't do that anymore. By the way, those days are gone. Because after I came to the realization that I was leaving a job because of the amount of money I was getting and adjusted to the fact that, oh my gosh, I am worthy of that kind of money. I am worthy of that kind of income. Everything started to shift. Now, there are a lot of other practices I put into place, and about that time I found Science of Mind and got some serious teachings about who I am and the value of who I am and those types of things. So take some time this week and just look at that. You go to give a guy on the street $1, or you go to spend money somewhere, or you go to make a purchase. What's your belief about this? Because this is the place where we're accountable. This is where we get to decide. Do I know what I'm doing? Am I doing the right thing? Am I taking the time I need to take? Eckhart Tolle tells us this: acknowledging the good that you already have in your life is the foundation for all abundance. Okay, so first we have that thought that says there's more than enough. And then we have the idea that I'm worthy. I am worthy, I am worthy, I am worthy. And now we move into this place that says, oh my gosh, and everything I want and need is already here. It's already here. So all we have to do is turn our attention to giving gratitude for what we have and stop whining and crying about something that we don't have. And if it's something that you don't have and you want it, start looking at ways to make that happen. It's really pretty simple. So we might need to reprogram our minds in this respect as well and start looking at the gratitudes, being thankful. When I'm out with Lotus and I'm walking her in the mornings, if I find a dime, a penny, a nickel, a quarter, I pick it up and I say, I find money everywhere I go. And then I slide it into my sock or my shoe. Because it was a gift to me. Whoever dropped it gave it to me. Thank you. So pay attention to that. So what are you thinking about? What are you looking at? Are you looking at abundance? Now, my dad was, I've probably told you this before, he was a treasure seeker. He believed that his treasure was out there somewhere. He just had to find it. We were in Miami one time. I can't remember why. And he stopped at every payphone. Now, there might be some people that don't know what a payphone is, but a payphone used to be a device where you could walk up and you could put money in it and you could pick up this receiver and you could make a phone call out in public, out in the middle of the street a lot of times. And they were everywhere. There were places in parking lots, like where gas stations were, where you could drive up to the little booth where the phone was. You didn't even have to get out of your car. You could just reach out and grab the receiver. That was a payphone. And it had a little drop slot where if you put in too much money, the change fell out. And my father knew that he was going to find money in those little slots, and he would not pass a phone without reaching in there. He used to go to the gas station, the car wash, and look in the booths where people took their cars to see if anybody had left stuff up on top. He came home with $13 one time. My mother was just ecstatic, all in quarters. Somebody had sat all their quarters up on the change thing to, I don't know what they were washing in there, and then drove away and left all their money there, and then my dad drove along and found it. And you would have thought they just won the lotto. I mean, that's how exciting that was for them. So again, it's your mindset, it's what you're looking at, it's what you're focusing on. Every beautiful gold and red leaf out there is a reminder to us of the abundance of the universe. You don't have to think about tomorrow it might fall off that tree. You don't have to think about the fact that we're probably going to get snow soon, because we probably will. All you need to do is be in that moment, take that breath, look up at that tree, and give thanks for that beauty. That's what we need to do this week to help us shift that mindset a little bit. Wayne Dyer said, abundance is not something we acquire. It's something we tune into. What are you tuned into? There's a device, some of you may still have one, it's called a radio. And the radio was this wonderful thing in the car. And what was interesting was when the dial on the radio was turned off, there was no music coming into the car, but there was music playing on the radio all the time. All the time. There was a rock and roll station, there was a blues station, there was a gospel station, there was all these different places that you could go, and all you had to do was tune that dial in. Similar to your television, if you want to go there. There's all this programming is coming through all the time, but you've got to tune into it to address it, to enjoy it, to pay attention to it. The world around us, everything that you are coming in contact with is constantly gifting you something, constantly showing up with some demonstration of love, light, beauty, grace, all these things. All we need to do is go, oh, look at that. That's a beautiful. Oh my gosh, isn't this incredible? Someone posted a picture of a spider on Facebook the other day and says, anybody know what kind of spider this is? And I said, no, but gosh, it's gorgeous. And everybody else is giving advice on how to get rid of the spider. Well, she took a picture of the spider. She probably figured it out by now. But it was the design in its being, it was so intricate, and it had like little stripy things in different colorations. And I'm thinking, what kind of camera do you have that you took that way cool picture of that spider? But again, what are you tuning into? That's what Dyer is trying to tell us. It's all about what you tune into. And then that's what happens for you. That's what happens for you. If you get up tomorrow, let's say you get up tomorrow and you decide it's going to be a ucky day and nothing's going to work out right, I'm telling you right now, you probably just get back in bed, because you have just you've set the playing field for your day. But if we get up and we connect with Spirit and we start speaking those gratitudes of everything that's going on around us, oh my goodness. The earth, it's like the heavens and earth open up, and we're just flooded that day with so much wonderful, amazing stuff. So again, what we tune into. What I have noticed is when I have those moments, and I have them once in a while, not a lot, and I'm very grateful for that. But when I have those moments every now and then, I think, oh my gosh, I don't feel like I have enough money, or that's not the balance I wanted to see in my account. I thought I had more than that. Maybe I spent something I forgot to write down and check. Whatever, it's usually that kind of stuff. But anyway, and I go into that space. What I have discovered is if that feeling starts to show up for me, the quicker I can get money out of my hand to somebody or something that it serves, the better my world is. If it's the day that I'm going to pay my tithe to my spiritual community, I know absolutely as soon as I pay it, money comes to me. The last time this happened, it's been a couple of months ago, and I thought, boy, this is looking a little tight. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and pay this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And then I had $5 in my wallet, and I gave it to some guy on the street. I get back home. I didn't get one. I got 4 appointments scheduled in the next 2 weeks with individuals that were going to gift money back to me for supporting and serving them. I didn't ask for that. I didn't tell them that's what I was going to do, but that's what the end result was. And I'm thinking, wow, look how quickly I stepped into my faith. I held that space. I knew that there's more than enough. I gave the way I like to give, and look what came back to me. So again, take the time and and pay attention to what you're tuning into. And then shift that chatter if you need to. Ernest Holmes also tells us this: we must be convinced that abundance is the natural state of the universe. To experience and accept abundance in our life, we must be convinced that as we conceive and believe, the universe handles the details. Don't get caught in the minutia. That's the word, minutia. Don't get caught in the nitty-gritty stuff. Be in that space of going, God's got this. When was the last time you looked outside and you just saw a tree lift off in the front yard and go shooting off into space? It doesn't happen. God's got it. It's rooted. There's this thing called gravity. Everything has been created in this amazing perfection, and all we need to do is just be in that space of going, yeah, and I'm a part of this. So in this week, I want you to take time. I want you to look at, are you convinced? Do you believe? Because when we're convinced with something and we believe in something, what that turns into is a knowing. That knowing, I know there's more than enough. I know I have all I need. I know that when I give money to this individual on the street, that something will come back to me. I don't have to think about it. That's not my purpose for giving, but I know that that's how it happens, because that's the law of reciprocity. That's the law of give and take. There's so much about that. That's a law of abundance. That's how it works. So I want you to take time this week, this afternoon, and look at the abundance in your life. Pay attention to that rich, beautiful, continuous gift and gifting that comes to us from Spirit. Ernest Holmes says this: there is nothing that life could possibly withhold from its creation, since it has poured its imagination and thought and feeling into everything and spilled it over. The ocean of life is forever flowing. We could just as well dip a gallon of water instead of a pint from it. So it's back to that old story we've heard about where there's the well and everybody comes to the well and people are carrying these little tiny cups and little tiny teaspoons, and then this guy comes up with 5 buckets. Yeah. Look at the ocean as our infinite source and recognize that what we pull from this, what we draw from this, is exactly what our consciousness allows us to do. That's where the shifting gets to take place. Let us keep in mind the universe is infinite and limitless. Everything is already here for us. Everything. Please pray with me. So as we just breathe in and breathe out, we know that we are breathing in and out the breath of God. We know that Spirit is so close to each and every one of us, we can feel it within our heartbeat. We can think and know that our thoughts and our ideas are of God. We can recognize this power that is ours to tap into, and we can choose to remember that we are one with the divine. How beautiful is that? How perfect it is to know that we are never alone. We are always accompanied. We are always guided. We are always directed by Spirit in all things. And so knowing this, I know that right here and right now, each one of us goes from this space today with another idea, another thought, another perspective of what we can tune into, of what we can focus on. And we choose to accept and embrace the very idea that we are worthy of all of this good that is coming to us, all of it. And we are of the divine and in the divine, and we are expressions of it. And that we can not only serve ourselves and our lives and our beings with this knowingness and with this truth, but we can also support and serve others. So let us walk away with a giving heart. Let us walk away with that wonderful, loving idea that we are just a part of the process. And we move forward in an infinite ocean of abundance. So I know that this day is blessed. It's perfect. It is gifted to us by God. I know that each and every one of us who is in this room and online and hears this message is also blessed by God. And I know in all of this blessing and all of this good and all of this goodness, we just give thanks for everything we have and all that we are. We embrace the idea of the beauty of spirit in us and of the beauty of the season. We just let this go and we let it be as together we say, and so it is.
This is a song I wrote a few years ago. It's called River Walk, and the metaphor of going down to the river to be nourished is always an option for us at any time, in any situation, in any circumstance, returning to that spiritual river of peace, abundance, tuning into it. Keep walking all the way down to the river. Keep walking all the way down. You'll find peace of mind there in the water. Keep walking all the way down. Oh, friend, won't you comfort me? My lover left me yesterday. My heart is stiff. I wonder if it'll stay that way. Keep walking all the way down to the river. Keep walking all the way down. You'll find peace of mind there in the water. Keep walking all the way down. Oh, friend, won't you comfort me? I lost my job and my pay. A wounded pride, it makes me hide and run away. But keep walking all the way down to the river. Keep walking all the way down. You'll find peace of mind there in the water. Keep walking all the way down. Oh God, won't you comfort me? My body is aging and ill. What can I keep as I grow weak and I worry still? Keep walking all the way down to the river. Keep walking all the way down into your heart. You'll find peace of mind there in that water. Keep walking all the way down. Keep walking all the way, all that way. walking all the way down to that spiritual river. It's in your heart. It's in your heart, and in that water you'll find peace of mind. Peace of mind. Oh, keep walking, it's right in your heart. That river. Keep walking all the way in. You'll feel peace of mind there in that water. Keep walking all the way down.
Hello. I'm Reverend Jen Wild, Senior Minister for New Dawn Center for Spiritual Living. New Dawn Center is a global community, and we welcome all people, all paths, all ways of thinking, all philosophies. So know that you are welcome here, and thank you for joining our online community.